spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
Welcome, everybody, to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. This is Ginny Gunther, also known as Ginny Almighty, and I'll be your host tonight, too, along with Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Phone lines are now open at 602-666-6027. That's 602-666-6027.
We'll be taking your phone calls from around the world and right here in the U.S. Welcome, everyone. It is Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Today's Monday, August 22nd, 2016, and we're happy that you've joined us again here, people in the United States and those around the world, and we have a great listenership in different parts of the world. Always happy to have them join us, too. Sometimes the time zones are challenging, but they want to pop in and be part of the fun, and we're happy to have them come along. I'm Ginny Almighty, also known as Ginny Gunther, and I'll be your host tonight along with Dr. Dean. And we've got so much great information to review. But before I bring Dr. Dean onto the show, I just want to say that Dr. Dean has been in the forefront of health issues for almost 40 years. Now, just think about that statement right there. That's incredible. 40 years of being on the leading edge, ahead of her time, way out, visionary leader, thinker, understanding not only the dynamics of the human body, but also the dynamics of human emotion, how human emotion and stress play out in the body, and also understanding and being particularly sensitive to the changes in the environment, the changes in our food supply, the changes in our water supply, and how all these things have impacted the body. The added use of sugar in our foods as an additive was a huge hot button for Dr. Dean. And the changes in our digestive program in our bodies and how our bodies have to adjust to all this. These are the things that she has been consumed with, very well educated about, having an incredible amount of wisdom, not only as a medical doctor, but as a naturopath, an herbalist, an acupuncturist, a nutritionist, an intuitive, a lecturer, and a consultant. So she has such a broad spectrum of information that she can pull from. And she's here tonight for 2 hours, willing to pull it down, willing to take the download, so to speak, and to share that with you with ease and grace, all of our listeners and our callers and those who've written in, to ask for her opinion, to ask for her wisdom, to ask for her suggestions on how they might proceed if they were her, and vice versa. Never giving the medical advice, always just saying, this is what I do if I were you. And by the way, I can honestly tell you she would never tell anybody to do anything that she wouldn't do or hasn't already done herself with great success. So we're so thrilled to have her with us tonight to share her wisdom, take phone calls, and respond to our callers and our writers, our email bag correspondence as she can. Welcome tonight, Dr. Carolyn Dean.
Thank you, Ginny. Ginny and I today are sharing a brain. Right, Ginny?
We are sharing a brain. Maybe that's why I feel so fuzzy today.
Yeah. So we're sharing a brain, and we're talking about the brain. The blog that Ginny sent out, without me knowing about it, she was preparing this blog about your brain, and your brain on drugs, your brain without drugs, your brain on magnesium. And I emailed her. Perhaps the article came through Ginny, but someone had sent something about young adults are having strokes. And, of course, the question is why? And Ginny said, yeah, I think that would be a great topic, too. So we're going to talk about the brain, about strokes. It's easy for you to get on board with this because if you look at Ginny's blog at the RNAreset.com website and sign up for the blog there, just click on the blog, you'll get to the blog and the radio show. She's written a short blog. It basically, your brain with and without magnesium, two completely different organs with significant implications for health, longevity, and cognitive function. In 2011, the University of Adelaide Press published a comprehensive study titled Magnesium and the Central Nervous System. This book is free online, and Ginny has the link here where you can download the copy. This is an awesome book. I've written about it many times. I did put it in the last edition, 2014 edition of Magnesium Miracle. In it, as Ginny says, the editors provided comprehensive documentation about the role of magnesium in a normal brain, in neurological diseases such as learning and memory, headache, migraine, pain, cerebral ischemia, clinical stroke, and Parkinson's, as well as magnesium in psychiatric diseases such as Alzheimer's, stress, neuroses, autism, depression, and addiction. And a lot of people, they think, the brain is not malleable, that the brain cells, once you have them and they die, you can't either grow them or you can't influence them. But magnesium has turned that right around. And it's not at all just the magnesium threonate that can get into the brain. There's a patented magnesium out there where the researchers who own the patent did a mice or rat study saying that their form of magnesium got into the cerebrospinal fluid. But when I read the paper, it looked like the difference between magnesium threonate and magnesium citrate was 7%. So with that 7% difference, they made all these titles and actually scared a lot of people into thinking, well, I better take threonate because I wanted to do something for my brain. So, all the others, this study says that nothing else works as good as this threonate. Remag actually does work the best because in its stabilized ionic state, the magnesium gets into every cell in the body. So with stroke being kind of my topic, it's just part of what's in the book. Like I said, there is a chapter on stroke. There's one on subarachnoid hemorrhage as well. That's a hemorrhage you get if you have a terrible head trauma and you bleed underneath your skull on top of your brain. And there's a chapter on magnesium in subarachnoid hemorrhage. Now, what's interesting about the chapter on magnesium in clinical stroke, if you look at that, it's written by a UCLA neurologist, Dr. Jeffrey Saver, S-A-V-E-R, great name for a doctor who wants to save you. So he wrote this article, and when I looked further, this article was written before 2014. Yeah, I don't know when the actual article was written, but the whole book was published in 2011. So afterward, or maybe during that time, with the results appearing February 2014, Dr. Saver had done, an 8-year study using intravenous magnesium on stroke patients, trying to get it to them within an hour of the onset of symptoms. And unfortunately, it did not improve stroke outcomes when they followed people for, I think it was 3 months and a year. It did not change their outcome compared to people who did not have the magnesium. Now, all that tells me is that you can't use magnesium as if it were a drug. You can't go through decades of magnesium deficiency, stroke out because you're deficient in magnesium, and then expect one intravenous of magnesium to cure a decades-long problem. So this just makes me want to reinforce, probably have to write a book on stroke next, but reinforce the fact that magnesium is going to prevent stroke. It's going to stop the brain from reacting to a blood clot or a blockage. I did not have that much in my last edition of Magnesium Miracle on Stroke, but in the 2017 edition, I have a lot of words, various aspects of stroke. If someone has taken a lot of alcohol, they can suffer cerebral vessel spasm and rupture of cerebral blood vessels. And this actually is hastened by an elevation of calcium. So you drink a lot of alcohol, you have a rapid fall in levels of magnesium ions in the brain, and an elevation of calcium, and then cerebral vessel spasms and rupture of cerebral blood vessels. So that's what ongoing alcohol intake does for a person. And alcohol intake, in other studies I've seen that it's alcohol intake above 1 drink for women and 2 drinks for men per day. I tend to not recommend alcohol because most of the people who follow our protocols have yeast overgrowth, and alcohol will grow yeast. I'll just quickly go over a few more things about stroke. People with a mild head injury have been found to exhibit early deficits in magnesium ions. The greater the degree of head injury, the greater and more profound the deficit. So if you or anyone close to you is involved with an accident, has head trauma, get the Remag going. If they're in the hospital, you can't get anything to them orally, spray it all over their bodies. A burst or blocked blood vessel is all it takes to cause a stroke. The damage is so confined that it destroys critical brain functions. Stroke is caused by hypertension, atherosclerosis, and diabetic complications, all of which are associated with low magnesium. So keeping your blood vessels strong, preventing blood from clotting inappropriately, and even healing stroke-damaged areas are all within the scope of the miracle of magnesium. Now, I would add to the saturation of your body at all times with magnesium, I would add vitamin C complex. Vitamin C, especially the bioflavin aspects, are very important for capillary fragility and blood vessel integrity. So this is where actually in our new restructure you get some food-based vitamin C. There's food-based vitamin C complex from Grown by Nature. And you can make your own vitamin C complex in liposomal form with a recipe that I have on my blog, Dr. Dean's Supplement Recommendations. And, eating a couple pieces of fruit a day will get you your food-based vitamin C, obviously. The statistics on stroke are that it's the second highest cause of death, devastating the lives of more than 6.5 million people in the U.S. Each year, an additional 15 million people suffer a stroke. I think that's a worldwide number. So it's pretty common we really don't talk enough about it, I guess, because most people think, well, there's nothing I can do. I mean, that's in my brain. It's in my skull. It's just not accessible to me to deal with. But it definitely is if you keep yourself saturated with magnesium. Now, some Taiwanese studies compared residents who had drinking water high in magnesium and another area low in magnesium. This was 17,000 cases in each place. And they showed that there's less stroke in people who are drinking magnesium-rich water. There are more highlights, but I think I've made my point. I talk about doctors who do intravenous magnesium and hyperbaric oxygen after stroke and have incredible results. So I don't know why the UCLA study didn't work. There are always ways that they kind of mess up. I'll have to look at that study in detail. But, mainly I make the point that you cannot use magnesium as a drug at the end of decades of magnesium depletion. In my book, I end the story. I end with the story about a gentleman who wrote in and told us his wife had a stroke 4 years ago, and he began giving her Remag, and he says she's made big strides in speech recovery and organizational activities at home in just 3 months of Remag. And he says this is not a placebo. So those are my notes on stroke. I have a couple of stroke questions, but I'll ask Ginny if she wants to know anything more on this topic before we move to the mailbag.
Oh, yes, I do. I want to ask you about a couple things, one of which is what about, the two biggies, well, actually the three biggies are stroke, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. Can you talk about Parkinson's and also Alzheimer's?
Well, Alzheimer's for sure, magnesium will have an effect because Alzheimer's is a buildup of calcium and aluminum in the brain and mercury from flu shots and poor diet. It's so many things to do with magnesium deficiency that I'm sure we can have a great beneficial effect on Alzheimer's. In Parkinson's, I haven't studied it a lot. What people should do is go to the Magnesium and the Central Nervous System book. Chapter 17 is on magnesium and Parkinson's disease. It's clinical and basic aspects of the condition. So they're saying that something can be done for Parkinson's. It's just, I don't know, Ginny, have we had any cases come to us?
No, I don't remember a lot of Parkinson's. Now, I know we have had some people get relief from Alzheimer's and improvement in that, and also some people with mild strokes have improvement with definitely Remag. I think of our good friend George right away. So I know that we have seen some movement in those areas, but I don't really recall anybody going into detail about Parkinson's.
Right. So the abstract for this chapter, and it's a paper. It's a medical paper out of Japan. It's called Magnesium in Parkinson's Disease, an update in clinical and basic aspects. And abstract says, magnesium is essential for cell functions such as transport of calcium and potassium ions, modulates signal transduction, energy metabolism, and cell proliferation. Several studies elucidated a reduced concentration of magnesium in patients with Parkinson's disease, and experimentally, severe loss of dopaminergic neurons exclusively in the substantia nigra in 1-year-old rats that had been subjected to continuously low magnesium intake over generations. A study conducted by the authors revealed a significant and striking effect of magnesium to prevent neurite and neuron pathology and also to ameliorate neurite pathology in a rat Parkinson's disease model involving culture of ventral mesencephalic striatal cells with 1-methyl-4-phenylpyridinium. Magnesium is expected to prevent and ameliorate Parkinson's disease in cases where it would be able to cross into the brain in a suitable way. So, there's the last sentence. I should have just read that. Magnesium is expected to prevent and ameliorate Parkinson's disease in cases where it would be able to cross into the brain in a suitable way. That's your REMAG. REMAG crosses into the brain because of its stabilized ionic character. So, yeah, let's go for that. Let's have people use this on their Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and stroke friends and family and give us an update. That's the way our research is going. I'm not putting $1 billion into a study, waiting 10 years to tell you that, oh, yeah, go ahead. You can use it in stroke, Parkinson's, and Alzheimer's. Thank goodness magnesium is grass, generally regarded as safe, and you can use it right here, right now, and then give us your results. Right, Ginny?
Right. Excellent. Yep, absolutely, absolutely. And also, let's see, where are we here? Let's see. Real quick, on as far as the central nervous system, Sandy types in, my son has been a paraplegic for 10 years due to a motorcycle accident. Oh, that's so difficult. Are there any studies where your REMAG can possibly regenerate nerve communication between T12 and the brain? Thank you.
Well, it's if the nerves have been severed, T12, that's T12, right at the base of the spine. If they're severed, it's hard to bring that back. So I don't. It can help with the magnesium deficiency of the cramping and the pain and the neuralgias and the neuritis in a paraplegic because they are so magnesium deficient. It's just horrible. So you just do the REMAG and watch those improvements. But as for regenerating severed nerves, it's not going to do that.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. And Les typed in, I have cerebellum ataxia. MRIs indicate reduction of fluid around the cerebellum. Would REMAG assist in rebuilding the fluid?
Yeah, that's interesting. If there's kind of a dehydration anywhere in the body, including the brain, it's because there's a lack of minerals. So I absolutely would recommend sea salted water, REMAG, and the Remite, because we have to acknowledge that the other minerals are important too. Otherwise, we're just looking at REMAG as if it's a drug. That type of dehydration. See, they discovered cerebral ataxia in veterans, where they'd become so dehydrated in the Gulf, in the Gulf War. And I've told you before, they'll sweat and sweat and sweat. Their T-shirts are just like boards with all the minerals. They have to dry the sweat on the line and then bang out the minerals and then wash. So yes, remineralization is very important in that type of situation. So let us know what happens.
Very good. All right, very good, Carolyn. I know we've got some phone callers. Do you want to take some phone calls?
I got to finish a couple of the mailbags. We create a dilemma for ourselves, Ginny, because we put out a blog and ask for emails. People email in, and then a month later we answer them. So, so the stroke question. Someone says, and I'll put the timing down so we can follow things. I just ordered Remag for my 57-year-old boyfriend who suffered a TIA stroke, which is transient ischemic attack. He still has no movement in his left arm, but his left leg has improved. I've been giving him a capful a day. I do believe I've already seen improvement in just a week's time. My question is, since he is still on blood pressure meds and blood thinning meds, should I increase the amount of Remag? If so, how much? Yes, definitely. We try to make that clear. We have on the bottles that a maintenance dose is 1 teaspoon, but we do say a therapeutic dose is 2 and 3 teaspoons. So this is what I did answer this already, it looks like. Therapeutic amounts for stroke, 2 to 3 teaspoons a day. With meds, the dosage is 3 or 4 teaspoons a day. But you have to make sure to get the other minerals in salted drinking water and Remite, 1.5 to 2 teaspoons a day. Realign will help with gentle detox. The RNA drops will also help greatly, rebuilding new cells in the damaged areas. And with something like stroke, when you know that the only things they're going to give you are blood thinners, and they'll just try to make sure your cholesterol doesn't get elevated and give you preventative statins. They'll treat a blood pressure, even if it's moderately high or slightly high. They'll still put you on blood pressure drugs because they just think they're trying to prevent the things that might cause you to have further stroke. And none of that, I shouldn't say none of it helps. I mean, perhaps it does help with very high blood pressure, but what it is going to do is deplete you of more and more magnesium. So there's a dilemma here, and people have to really study it and research it. Someone says, I've had significant adrenal overflow due to a traumatic car accident. Nothing was broken. Now, I don't know if she's hospitalized, but basically, since the accident, a simple task such as walking fast, being in the heat, or even talking to someone gives me heart palpitations and urinary incontinence. I don't know the age of the person either. Could you tell me, would magnesium help? I'm healthy in every other way. It seems that my body doesn't know what to do with the adrenaline. Also, could something as simple as a car accident mess up my magnesium retention? I wonder what happened. Any suggestions to help me with this? Overproduction of adrenaline would be helpful. Okay, this is very interesting, but this is what's happening. This has to have happened in a person who was already magnesium deficient, and that's easy enough for me to say because 80% of the population is magnesium deficient. Also, it sounds like this person already had kind of a overworked adrenal glands. So this is like an adrenaline I can't say malfunction, but like she says, she's overproducing adrenaline. She's surging her adrenaline, and that is a magnesium deficiency symptom right there. When you get magnesium deficient and then you get stressed, your adrenaline just floods out to try to deal with the stress. And there's no such thing as a simple car accident. I think our brains are coping so well with the fact that we drive around in several tons of metal and keep ramming into each other. Our brains have kind of adapted to that, but I really think it means we're constantly in a fight or flight situation or state in our brain because we are sitting in this tank. Same with air flight. I think everybody's in just an altered stress situation when they're flying 35,000 feet in the air. So it's not simple at all, and the treatment is definitely the Remag and the sea salt water, Remite too, if you can get that going. So I thought that was a very interesting question. And then electrolysis hair removal specialist wrote and said, we see lots of in-the-field examples of how a person's lifestyle choices affect one's experience of pain and sensation. For instance, the treatment tolerance for a person who is dehydrated is much less than one who is well hydrated. And a person who has a healthy electrolyte balance is better at tolerating pain than one who is out of balance or deficient. Could the doctor talk about how magnesium would be involved in the experience of pain and a person's increased sensation? That is to say, we've noticed that a person can have little to no experience of pain when they are well hydrated and electrolyte balanced, but give that same person even 1 cup of coffee and the treatment may become unbearable. That's very interesting. And, well, basically it's the cells require minerals in order to function, to make their energy, to protect the muscles, to protect the nerves. It's probably a couple dozen of the 700 to 800 functions of magnesium that are affected in pain perception. So, yeah, magnesium is hugely involved, and that's a very good point. You know, if you go for electrolysis or a laser or this or that, make sure to hydrate and get your hydrate and get your magnesium and your minerals. I'm just organizing my files here. I am multitasking away. So I'll just do one more mailbag because we've had some very exciting emails today. This person wrote, I'm blessed. I've had cramps and very severe Charlie horses all my life. When I was very small, approximately age 5, my mother took me to the doctor to see why I was having cramps. The doctor said that I was having growing pains. Well, I have had growing pains my entire life until a few weeks ago. I'll be 73 years old in October. I started taking Remag about 3 months ago and then later added Remite. I'm so thankful. The cramps are behind me. Now, the only thing that will cause me to have a cramp is taking a new product called Nerve Review. I looked this up. It's a product with... it's got 2 methylated beads, a couple of other synthetic bees, and alpha-lipoic acid, and no magnesium. So when this person takes this product, they get more symptoms, and I'm thinking it's because they don't have magnesium. So it's also a $70 product, whereas our Realign is only, what is it, Ginny, 39 something? So I'm going to tell this person just to switch to Realign and keep up the Remag. So that was interesting. There are so many products out there that are trying to mimic what we're doing, either intentionally or not, but they will never catch up to what we've done with all our products. So I think I can turn the microphone back to you, Ginny.
Okay, excellent. Very good. Excellent opening comment, Carolyn. All right,
Thank you.
Let me go to, I want to say that sometimes people who call customer service, I'll just put this into the record, get so badgered by me. I insist that they call and talk to you on the radio show. I'm just like, please. I've gotten to the point where I'm bribing people. I'm like, please, 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 I'll send you a discount coupon code if you'll just call Carolyn, because some people really do have challenges, health challenges that are beyond the scope of what we can answer in customer service, and they really do need support. But it's like, you've got to take advantage of the radio show. So tonight, I am pleased to announce that my badgering has worked, and this one gal, God bless her heart, has called in, and she promised me she would. I made her promise, cross her heart, and hope to God that she would call and talk to you tonight. So I'm going to put her on the line, area code 270. She's out in Kentucky. And this is our good friend, Kim Carolyn. Welcome, Kim, to introduce you to Dr. Dean.
Thank you, Janine. You're wonderful. Wonderful support you have there, and I love your team. They're great. The reason I've been worried about everything, I bought your Remag because my husband, he's had a triple bypass. Not because his heart was bad. They said his heart was better and lungs were better than any he'd ever seen. But he was 99% clogged in his widowmaker artery there. And so anyway, he's worked in plastics and had brake fluids splattered all over him. In one place he worked at breaking down brake calipers. So you know how unhealthy that is. So anyway, we still cannot get his cholesterol down. But we've gone to even a natural doctor, and they put him on statins. He couldn't do those because his muscles would give out on him, and all those other different things that happen to you. And so we had to get him off that, and we tried another statin. That didn't work. So then he put him on.
Well, Kim, I need some more information before you go on. How old is he?
Okay. He is 52 or 53, one of these. Yeah.
Well, that's not old at all. How high are his cholesterols?
His cholesterol, last time we went, I got it right here for you. Let's see, it was 200. It was a 225 last time we went for the total. Why can't I find this? I'm so sorry.
Look, that's fine, Kim. I just need the total. Is that with on any medications or not?
That was when he didn't take any that morning, but it was on his medication, which was just the Metaprol tartrate, and at that point he was taking a red rice. But what is so bad is his bad cholesterol is high, and his good cholesterol is really low. So
well, is that the main thing you're worried about? Is cholesterol, or is he having other symptoms?
Yes.
What do you want me to address?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, he is starting to get weak again. But I am worried that he's getting clogged up because they said he needed to keep it low to keep from having the surgery clog back up. And he doesn't feel as well as he did before. I mean, I guess maybe something like this will happen. But so anyway,
giving him Remag, right?
Well, yeah, I did. I started giving him the Remag, and then I noticed at night his arms started twitching. And I'm afraid I'm not keeping it in balance with the potassium and the calcium that I need, because he also is not tolerant to dairy or gluten. So he's not getting the milk and the cheese and things, the things that he really needs. And I know you have the broth that you can make, but that I'm not sure that, to get him to do broth every day, I just don't know if that's going to happen,
Right. Okay, so let's go back to the beginning. He's 52 years old. He went in for what reason? Was he weak or short of breath? Why? How did they find the 99% clog?
He was having angina, not the kind. He had the kind that when you rested, it went away. It was just when he went outside and got hot and would work too hard, he would have to just come in and sit down, and he'd feel like something was standing on him, the pressure on his chest.
Okay, so, it was starting to show up. But, I think, I could say a lot about what's happening. I don't really believe cholesterol is the real problem, but maybe along with the toxins that he's been exposed to, that, created a problem. Personally, what I would do is stay on the red rice yeast. I would really look at the metoprolol because that can cause a lot of side effects. Does he really need a beta blocker? Does he have a fast heart rate or blood pressure?
Well, when he was in the hospital, they said he probably wasn't going to have any medication. The doctor sent him out with this, I think it's a total of 25 megs a day. But he just stopped that actually like a couple of weeks ago after we started the Remag because I was afraid of what was going to go on with it. And the doctor said he probably wasn't going to need it. The only reason they said was because to keep him from having a regular heartbeat. And because he didn't want a blood clot to go and, mess up. And his heart rate at nighttime, my one breath, his was three breaths to my one at night.
Right.
It's down to like same as mine or maybe 2 breaths now, but now that he's stopped the meds.
Is he on, you said he was on the metoprolol. You're saying now he's not on it?
Now he's not on it. About a week ago, he got off of it, a week or 2 ago.
Okay. So basically you're asking me what to do about the cholesterol. I'd say I would be continuing the red rice yeast because that acts similar to statins but does not seem to have as many side effects, and it's supposed to be a natural product. In terms of the Remag, I would be adding the Remite as well so you can get the potassium and make sure he's doing the sea salt water. And, he's with the potassium broth, he's either going to take it or he has to take a potassium pill. In terms of the calcium, the same thing, bone broth, or we can get you to a liquid calcium. But I don't think calcium is a problem right now. The arms twitching is probably just the whole muscle and nervous system waking up. And are you up to the 2 and 3 teaspoons of Remag a day yet?
No, because I started with 1/4 teaspoon, and he was fine with that. I went up to 1/2, and he started having problems. I don't remember what it was. He wasn't feeling good, I guess. And so I backed it back down, and I waited about a week and got up to like 1 teaspoon. I mean, not 1 teaspoon, I'm sorry, 1/2 teaspoon. And then I got concerned that maybe when I felt his twitching at night that he wasn't balanced, and maybe I was giving him too much magnesium.
Well, you know what I think is happening here? I think you already said it, around the plastics and all the auto body shop toxins and heavy metals. The poor guy is probably trying to detoxify all that, and that's what Remag will be doing, is helping to kick that stuff out. And I don't know what to tell you. I'm not going to be able to be there and sit with you and say, oh, yeah, that twitching is just toxicity. But 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon in a 52-year-old man with his arteries all clogged up is not too much magnesium. He is not twitching because he has too much magnesium or he doesn't have enough potassium, unless you do blood tests periodically and find his potassium is low or find that his calcium is low. But I can't imagine that that's happening. He's just got way overloaded with calcium and all the toxins that he worked with. So, you're going to have to sit with him and discuss this and go over it, read all you can that I've written about magnesium, and read the Remag book over and over again, and just make your decision. Look, we got to get magnesium into you. We got to dissolve the calcium that could be building up again, and try not to be too scared about it. Cholesterol of 225 was normal when I went to medical school. They've made us think it's abnormal now because they want to give us statins. But statin isn't the problem. Calcium is the problem. Lack of magnesium is the problem. So,
Okay.
I don't know if that's enough for you to go on. I see the complexity of what you're dealing with, but what you've got to do now is call in every week or two, and we'll go over what your questions are, because it is a complex situation. Okay, Kim?
Okay, and let me ask you. Should he be also taking the one with the minerals in it?
Yes.
Because I have like a green, mix that I make that I put in our juicings. It's got the spirulina, the carolyn, the dulse, and the kelp, and all the
right,
about 50 different things like that. And I put that in there. But do you think that he still needs the minerals?
Yes, if you've read my REMAG book, I talk about how the people on 40 ounces of green drink a day still come to me with heart palpitations and leg cramps because magnesium is just not in the soil anymore.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to do the magnesium, but I'm wondering about the calcium and the...
Well, if the magnesium is not there, then nothing else is there. All the minerals are worked out of the soil. It's just empty. People jumping on the green bandwagon, it's too late because the soil is so depleted.
Okay. And one more, actually two more questions. For one, you said I should get the Remite for him to try to get him cleaned out, and the mineral one. And I'm also
Remite is the mineral one. Yeah, Realign is the detoxifier.
Oh, okay.
Definitely, Realign to start getting some of those heavy metals out. Yeah.
Will that make his cholesterol come up when we go doing that to him to?
It'll make his cholesterol go down. Cholesterol is an antioxidant. It's high in people who are toxic. So it's just showing us that he's toxic.
Okay. All right. And so, and if I am trying to make this happen and get this and keep the Remag in him and keep the doses up. And so my question is, if I'm going to be looking at every bit of food he's eating to try to get the right amount of potassium and calcium, can I supplement something to like for the potassium? The potassium looks like it's pretty high that I got to keep in him.
If he eats the green drink powder, that should have enough potassium. The potassium is very high. It's not firmed out as much as others. So if he's eating some vegetables and taking some greens, he should be getting enough potassium. But like I said, get a blood test and see where he's at, and so you're not just guessing.
Okay, and can I find out what blood test it is you're talking about for him to get, because we are going to his doctor next month?
It's just a serum potassium. It's just serum potassium probably, but they can do an ionized calcium. It's just a potassium and a calcium test. It's the electrolyte panel. And if you can get an electrolyte panel and try to get an RBC magnesium. It's magnesium from the red blood cells. But when he goes for the test, no magnesium that morning, 12 hours without magnesium, without the Remag.
Okay, all righty. Okay. And you being as educated as you are, is it okay for him to have, like, water before we go to get his cholesterol tested? Because do these blood tests? Because by the time we get there, he is dry. I mean, they can't even pump it out of him, his blood.
Oh, yeah. Lots of water, but without the sea salt.
Without the sea salt, okay. All right. And lastly, and I will leave you alone, I promise, to stop the aspirin was like, no, we don't want to do aspirin. We figured it was probably pretty bad for him. And so do you think that was why the doctor, he put him on something else for that?
I don't know. Yeah, I can't say. I really don't know. I mean, it sounds like they, if they see someone with that much of a block, they should, common sense, and all the research they've done, they should have just put him on a lot of magnesium. Instead, they do a huge surgery, put him on a bunch of drugs, make him feel worse than he was before, make him into a heart, a heart victim patient. It's just, I'm having trouble keeping my temper from what they've done to him.
Yeah. Well, is bergamot okay with magnesium? Are you familiar with?
Oh yeah, anything is good with magnesium. Magnesium is like we tell people, they can take drugs, take anything, and that's fine. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for all your time.
You're welcome.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, Kim.
Very good. Excellent. Excellente. Yay! Oh, good. I'm so glad I got a chance to talk.
I know. It's such a complex situation. It's so sad. It's so frustrating when you see what happens when they have a 99% block. He's got 99% block. He's walking around. Yes, he has some angina. But what they didn't tell Kim and her husband is that the heart will make all kinds of accessory blood. They'll open up blood vessels all around that to try, to get around the block. And then, they should just work on that one block with the stent or whatever. I don't know. It's just so frustrating. But again, if we can get everybody on their magnesium saturation program, then we'd avoid all this stuff entirely. And yes, the toxins on top of it, cholesterol is the body's natural antioxidant, and a lot of times it's high just because you're toxic, and the cholesterol is trying to dampen that down. And more you can Google and find out that cholesterol is not the bad guy anymore. They've moved on to inflammation, and they're getting close to magnesium because the greatest stimulator of inflammation in the body is calcium, and the greatest treatment for inflammation in the body is magnesium. So it's just poking them in the eye, and they still don't get it.
Very good. Very good. Excellent. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here at AchieveRadio.com. We've been on the radio for a whole hour, Carolyn. I haven't even announced the number to call into the show. 602-666-6027 is the number. I'll type it into the chat line for everybody. 602-666-6027 is the number to call and talk with Dr. Carolyn Dean. We hope you take advantage of that opportunity tonight. It's a great opportunity to be able to talk with her. With just 2 minutes to the top of the hour, we probably won't start any new phone calls until we roll over into the next hour, and then we'll pick phone calls up again. Carolyn, do you have anything you want to rip off real quick?
Here's another testimonial. Sure, I'd love to get this one in. Hello, Dr. Dean. I started taking Remag 3 months ago. I live in Vietnam and had it sent here. I started out with a few drops per day and built up the dosage to 3 teaspoons. I then added Remite. I'm building that up right now. I'm sensitive, so I go very slowly, as you recommended. I also put the sea salt in my water and sip it all day. I am hugely better, that's in caps, and stronger than I was 3 months ago. I had palpitations for the last 2 years with increasing intensity and frequency. After I started Remag, even a few drops per day, I was getting better. Now, 3 months later, no palpitations, just a little blip now and then. I will begin Realign soon. As the Remag works so well with the Remite, I downloaded your AFib book to see if I could find out more advice to get even healthier. Thank you for making the book free. Isn't that sweet? Sweet, sweet, sweet.
Very. Yes, and that is exactly the whole, what I was talking about earlier, Vietnam. I mean, we have so many customers around the world. It's just really exciting to look at the scope of your, whoever thought you'd be, well, we can't use these words. I was going to exaggerate and say, who thought you'd be practicing in Vietnam, Carolyn? But you're not really doing that. Goodbye, FDA people, FDA spies. But no, having your influence all over the world, Carolyn, though, it's very exciting, I would say, yes?
Oh, it is, and the fact that, we are able to give information at that distance that people can follow and slowly build up their doses and be hugely better within 3 months. It's awesome. Thank you.
Yes, it is. Awesome. Yep, we'll be right back, everybody. More phone calls, more mailbag next hour. Stay right where you are.
You can also get updates and resources online by visiting drcarolyndean.com.
AchieveRadio.com.
They will call this. They'll say, oh, the toxicology report came back. Then it's going to cause questions. And they're going to have to ask, and they're going to want to research, and they're going to know what this is. And then they're going to say, what happened? You were Rh negative. Now you're no longer Rh negative now. Now they cross-type your blood, and they can't cross-type your blood. Then you have the strangest, weirdest AB negative ever. But there is no negative anymore. It's going to be a little more of a thing. So let's go with this just like this for today. Once this starts and becomes normal, then they'll say, oh, okay, we've seen this before. This is blah. They'll say this. Here's what they'll call it. In the meme, Bob's in the meme business. They will call this. They'll say, oh, you have the toxicology report came back, and you have what we call is ascended blood. It's a disease. It's a disease. It's anything that's not normal is a disease. So you will suffer from ascended blood, and that's what they'll call it.
Psychic radio, holistic radio, spiritual radio. This is AchieveRadio.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/AchieveRadio.
We return now live with Dr. Carolyn Dean, along with your host, Ginny Gunther, here on AchieveRadio.com. Skype us at ar.call.in. That's ar.call.in.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Hour 2 of Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Glad to have you with us tonight. And, of course, here to take your phone calls at 602-666-6027 and invite you to call and talk with Dr. Dean, ask your questions directly of her. You can also type your questions into our chat line, private message through the studio, which you'll see that on the Studio A page. You can see where to type those in. And then also, of course, we have so many people who write into our mailbag every week, so we answer those as well during the course of the show during the next hour. So, Carolyn, we had a bunch of callers, and I guess they got frustrated, or maybe they had to go run to the potty or something, so they'll be back. And let's do a couple of the in-quick messages, and then we can move on with some more mailbag stuff. How does that sound?
It sounds good, and I think we just answered their questions, that's all.
Well, that could be, absolutely. It could very well be. Tasha in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. Hi, lovely ladies. I have recently come down with toenail fungus and histotropic eczema on my palms. Would you have any suggestions for me? Always appreciate your wisdom and generous help. Thank you again for all you do.
Is it hypertrophic eczema?
Well, it says DHISATROPIC, but then in parentheses she's got spelling question mark, like maybe she spelled it wrong.
Yeah, dystrophic, okay, something like that. Well, any sort of strange eczema, I look at yeast overgrowth, and if you have fungal nails, that really is yeast. So let's see what they say about dystrophic eczema. Unknown cause, yeah, right there. Okay, when they say unknown cause, it's yeast, seriously. Characterized by itchy vesicular eruptions on the fingers, palms, and soles. Affects teenagers and adults, and they don't know what causes it. So it's yeast. Up in Canada, you can look at the, Yeast Busters treatment protocol that has the psyllium seed, bentonite clay, and caprylic acid that we recommend down here as well. Toenail fungus, you can drip oregano oil on it. That's what I would do. And basically treat it as the body's overloaded with yeast, and then it's coming out on trying to discharge toxins through the skin. So that's
okay, very good. Excellent. Another question. Could you please ask Dr. Dean to explain vitamin D? I have an individual I work with who's taking 50,000 IUs 2 times a week. They have a chromosomal disorder called Prader-Willi, and they have osteoporosis. Can you explain the rationale behind this dosage?
Prader-Willi, what is that? Let's look it up. Praeder, Willi. It is a complex genetic condition. Coming up, affects many parts of the body in infancy. Weak muscle tone, well, there's your magnesium. Feeding difficulties, poor growth, delayed development, beginning in childhood. Learning disabilities, I don't see vitamin D here. No, I can't comment on that. I mean, if it's some doctor who's trying to use vitamin D therapy on this condition, it's not coming up on a Google, simple Google search for me. I really think that high dose vitamin D is dangerous because it uses up your magnesium stores. Vitamin D requires magnesium in order to turn it from the pill form into the active form. So it will definitely create a further magnesium deficiency in a person. There is a study that just came up, 2011, the effects of vitamin D deficiency in Prader-Willi syndrome. So, I mean, they're using the vitamin D as if it were a drug and giving it in very high doses, and that's just not my philosophy at all.
Very good. Excellent. Quick comment from Margaret Lee, Carolyn, on the early part of the show. There's a wonderful book called The Brain's Way of Healing by Dr. Norman Doidge, D-O-I-D-G-E, a psychiatrist in Toronto, which is all about neuroplasticity. However, nowhere is magnesium mentioned, so you know what that means. Margaret's going to be jumping right over there. She'll be there tomorrow morning in her car. She will. So she says, I'm in the process of emailing him to ask him why. And just maybe he does not know about it. It's a very open-minded book, so hopefully he will be receptive. So, she'll be over there with a bottle of Remag on his doorstep, perched right there. All right.
And, there are studies about magnesium and brain plasticity. So it's crazy. All you have to do is type in brain plasticity and magnesium would come up. Crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Very funny. Yeah. Yeah, it's I love the University of Adelaide study. It's just so comprehensive. People from all over the world are documenting the power of magnesium just in the brain, and that doesn't even and what's ironic is that doesn't even go into the skeletal system. It doesn't go into the muscular system. I mean, so many other aspects of what magnesium does in the body. All right, well, let's take a couple of calls, Carolyn, yes?
Sure, good.
Okay. Let's go to area code 919. That's the great state of North Carolina. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean this evening. If you can give us your name and then state your question or comment, that would be awesome.
Sure. Hi, this is Sandy.
Okay, Sandy, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. And first, thank you. That was my question about my son with the paralysis, so I will definitely talk to him more on that. So thank you. Back in November is when I was introduced to your book, and I just love it. And I came to realize that I have been in a fight or flight my entire life, and I'm 61. And my mom passed away 2 years ago, and so between that, taking care of her and then her passing so quickly, and two of our 5 pets dying in a year, and just everything, I just kind of hit a wall. And when I started making my own magnesium oil, and it was the first time I said to myself, I go, oh, so this is what sleeping through the night is. But what happened, and this is my question, because I was spraying, I put the magnesium oil in a little brown bottle and would squirt 7 times on my legs and my abdomen and my arms. And I didn't know if I was doing too much because I don't know how to take it and be able to drink it because I don't like the taste. But come January, I just went into a tailspin with excruciating pain. But just recently I was doing some research on another topic, tinnitus, and I came across intercostal neuralgia and peripheral neuralgia. And it just described exactly bilateral stabbing, electrical shock type pains, radiating from the back to the front, band-like. But it was all by the rib cage, all under the breast. So I thought, well, God, maybe something was wrong with the liver and the spleen. And I got that all checked out, and everything is fine. And just in the last week or so, I'm starting to feel a tiny bit better from all the nerve pain. And I'm just wondering, am I not taking enough? Am I doing it wrong? What might
Well, you have to start taking it by mouth. You have to start taking it by mouth. It's obvious that I can't imagine you've kind of overloaded your skin with it, but it almost sounds like that. It's like it's not getting where it needs to anymore because that's a lot to put on your body every day for so long, Sandy. I mean, you really have to hide it in your food. Just a quarter teaspoon. Put it in warm food, not hot food because it'll burn. But you got to get it in your mouth and into your into your whole body, not just on your skin.
Okay, all right. That was because I just. That was how I was doing it, and I backed off. So now tonight you said on another call that the therapeutic 2 to 3 teaspoons a day. How do you know when to up that?
When the 1 teaspoon isn't working. When the 1 teaspoon isn't working.
Okay.
That's all.
All right.
Because what we've realized with Remag is that it will work on anything. It will just work. So when people say, well, it's not working, the first question we ask is, well, how much are you using? And often people will say, oh, it's just 1 teaspoon. So then use more. And the beauty of the REMAG is it won't cause a laxative effect, so that you can use enough to take care of business. And for my heart palpitations and leg cramps, I was on 3 and 4 teaspoons for a year. And now I only have to take 1 and 2 teaspoons a day, and I stay fine because I got myself saturated. So it is not like a drug where you keep needing more and more and more. You are actually building up your stores, your 25 grams of magnesium that your body needs at any one time. It has to be there. And, for what you've gone through, the fight or flight, and, your body's always in a tension. And so this tension, over time, the magnesium will just relax everything and bring you back to earth.
Okay. All right. So you're thinking that my putting it on the skin has, especially through the middle section of my body, is what has caused the nerve inflammation.
Well, I don't know that it's caused it, but it's it irritated it perhaps. I'll never blame magnesium itself, but it's just jammed things up. And, you just have to use it in a different way. I've never really heard of it, that happening. But, if you told me when that first began, I would have said, well, start taking it by mouth, even though you don't like the taste. You just got to get over it because, you can't go around with this, chronic intercostal neuralgia. That is very painful.
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay,
yeah.
Well, because okay, great. And one more real quick question, because my girlfriend, she was having trouble sleeping, and I suggested, because she read the book too, and I said, well, try the magnesium. And she did, and she called me up and said, that was the worst night's sleep I ever had. It's magnesium oil. It's not your product. I take your product that she hasn't yet. Mm-hmm. So it's like, well, I don't know what, because I slept like a baby after I first.
I know, and it makes you think, oh gosh, now what have I done? But if you look at my REMAG book and you read the section, or even look at the blog called "When Magnesium Makes Me Worse," it was probably just waking up and activating some of her nerves and muscles that have been, kind of. Magnesium deficient and dead for so long. They were just waking up. So you've got to study it a bit more to understand. And unfortunately, people will have that experience, blame magnesium, and never get the benefits of it because they don't look into it deeper.
And what you just said about when it makes you worse, that's what I was thinking, was maybe I was taking too much, and that woke up the enzymes, and then that caused the nerve irritation. So,
no, usually when magnesium makes me worse, if you look through the whole list, if you had been detoxifying and gotten a skin rash along with the pain, well, that's yeast coming out, or could be heavy metals. But heavy metals don't come out there. They'll more affect the mouth and the face, because that's where the mercury is. So there's all kinds of different things to look at. And, as I'm talking, I'm thinking, gosh, it sounds so complex. And that's, possibly why doctors don't bother getting involved with magnesium because, first of all, they usually just recommend magnesium oxide. People get the laxative effect and say, forget it. So it's really been buried, this information. But, I'm glad you called so we could discuss this, because you could do a lot better by doing magnesium by mouth.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, I didn't realize that when we could call them that we could ask our own personal questions, or I would have been sooner. So, but now I know, and I didn't know that you could put it in foods. I thought it was just drinking it, in the glass throughout the day. So, So I've learned a lot, and thank you so much for your time and answering our questions. It's a godsend.
Oh, you're welcome.
Anyway.
You're welcome, Cindy. Come back and let us know how you do, okay?
I will. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye.
Okay, excellent. Let's go to the great state of Texas, area code 832-832. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Hi, this is Karen.
Hey, Karen.
Hey, thanks for taking my call. I've been taking the completement formulas for probably about a year and a half, and they've helped me so much that I've had to make changes to things that I had been taking prior to taking the completement formula. So I have a couple of questions about making some adjustments to get your opinion.
Sure.
Okay. I was prior to taking the completement formulas, I was taking Armour Thyroid and Prometrium, and then those helped me initially, and then I started completement formulas, and that made a huge difference, like what you talked about, and I had to reduce both the progesterone and the Armour Thyroid a lot. So I was getting hyperthyroid, which I know you described, and it happened exactly like you said.
So good to know. Yeah.
Yes. So I can see that what I guess from what I've listened to you say and what I've read and all in your information is that that it was the magnesium and mineral deficiencies underlying the hormonal imbalances and so forth.
Correct.
Okay. So, like now, I still take Armour Thyroid, but at a reduced dosage from what I originally had been taking. And also, I have been taking daily oral progesterone for probably the last 2 or 3 years. And I was thinking, is it something that I would continue to always do? Is to take that, or can I get off of the oral progesterone?
I don't know about the progesterone, Karen. I think you'd have to ask the doctor who prescribed it and get a blood test to see if you still need it, or do a trial, along with your doctor, following you, go off it and see if you feel any different. With the Armour Thyroid, what you do there is get a blood test, get the TSH test, because that will tell you and your doctor if your body's producing enough of its own thyroid, or if it's still being pushed a bit from the pituitary. So the Armour, just get them checked out and do a trial of the progesterone with and without. That's the best way of finding out.
Okay. And do you think that a topical progesterone would be a better choice than the oral?
Personally, yes, I do. They can make it bioidentical, and yes, I think the transdermal is more effective.
Okay. I did 2 weeks ago get blood work done because I had to go back to my doctor because they had insurance changes and so forth. And so he wanted to run the hormone profile, and I have TSH and T4, T3 results. And he felt like based on that he wanted to increase it a little bit. So the TSH was 1.1.
No, that's a perfect TSH. That's
okay,
perfect.
And the T4 was 0.96, and the T3 was 2.6.
Okay, T3, 2.6. Well, the way the body works is the T4 breaks off one of the iodines and makes a T3. Drops from the 4 to the 3, and the range of them, they're kind of, are they both kind of in the low normal end of things, Karen?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it looks like that. Yeah.
When you went
when
to
I went
him?
to him, I wasn't having any complaints. I was just trying to, do what I need to do in changing insurances and to continue my current prescription.
Right.
I had to
Right.
switch to a different doctor and all that. And I didn't have complaints about it, but when he saw that, he wanted to increase it, and I was kind of depressed because I thought I was going to be weaning myself off a little more.
No, if you took more, he's just looking at the number, the T3, T4, and that can change hour to hour. What you look at, I think, is the TSH, the thyroid stimulating hormone. If your thyroid needs to be stimulated, the TSH goes higher and higher and higher. If you needed more thyroid, your TSH would be like 4 and 5 and 6. But anything under 2 is, to my way of thinking, and most natural medicine doctors, anything under 2 means that your thyroid is happy where it's at, and, it may even be you don't need as much of the armor. So I look at it a whole different way. So I don't know. You can do some more research, go to some of the amazing thyroid sites that are out there now. But, if you feel fine and you were perceptive enough to pick up on, the fact that you didn't need as much armor, you were starting to get hyper on the Remite. How much Remite are you on?
I do like one capsule. I put it in two capsules of Remag and a capsule of the Remite. 1.5 liters of water. Yeah. And
1.5 caps of Remite is sort of the standard amount. If you ever felt that you need, your temperature was low or your hands and feet were getting a little cool, like when the winter months coming on, you could increase to 1.5 because you're not even on a, maintenance dose right now.
Okay. Well,
so you're good. You're fine.
That. Yeah, that's good. Okay, and because it's like I really wasn't expecting to increase the thyroid when I went to him, and I was like kind of panicked, And then of course they wanted me to do a topical estrogen, an estradiol, and I was like, wow.
Well, no, I mean. Yeah, well, that's their job is to, give prescriptions. And yes, because it's a doctor, you think, oh, maybe they think I need it. But you really have to have your wits about you when you go to these appointments. And, with the estrogen replacement, the better one is estriol, ESTRIOL. And I think one of the only reasons, or 2 reasons, a woman should take estriol and take it as a cream, take it vaginally, is for vaginal atrophy and to make sure everything's working well down there, and or for hot flashes. So that's the only reason for an estrogen, but make it estriol, and along with a little bit of progesterone, and that mixed together, used vaginally. That's the best way to absorb the hormones.
Yeah, I wasn't having any of those issues, but they seem to think that I should be having the issues. It seemed like once I started the completement formulas, things started working really well for me.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, and that's brilliant. That's exactly how it should be. Like you said, right at the beginning, I'm taking the completement formulas and my hormones perked right up. So that's perfect. Very good, Karen.
All right. Well, thank you so much, and then I'll go ahead and increase the Remite.
Excellent.
And see how that goes.
And look up about thyroids. You're welcome, but look up about the thyroid so you understand it a bit more, because now you've got him saying one thing and me saying the opposite. So I want you to get comfortable with what I'm saying. Okay.
Okay, I sure will.
Okay.
All right,
Okay,
thank you
good,
so
Karen.
much. Okay,
Thank you
thanks.
for calling in. Bye-bye.
Uh-huh. Bye.
Excellent, excellent. Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Thanks to all our callers this evening for participating in the show, and also those who are typing on the chat line. Romy had a quick question, Carolyn, and then we can go back to our mailbag work. She typed in, when having bloating and gas, but not from eating processed foods, could one take more Remag?
No, it's not going to change bloating and gas. That's more prescript assist, more probiotic activity. So
Okay.
I would go with prescript assist. Yeah.
Very good. Excellent. All right. Okay, yeah, let's go to the mailbag, Carolyn, and see if we can get some more of our emails answered.
Good. Yeah, great calls today. Every week I'm always amazed that there are different calls, different questions. It's awesome. Well, that's because there's so many problems out there with magnesium deficiency, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so we've got now, I collected a couple of emails of people who have gotten the laxative effect with Remag. And, I mean, they're not that many, but it made me think that I'd like to address it. So one gentleman, sort of brought to my attention, and then a woman brought, in the same week. So what I tell people to do when they're getting the laxative effect is reread the blog or reread the Remag book, the section When Magnesium Makes Me Worse, and look at the, 14 ways that you can be disrupting your magnesium. It doesn't necessarily say it'll cause you to have diarrhea, but it can be some imbalance. Also, I tell people now to get a hold of the AFib book, and our customers can get it for free now at customer service. In the AFib book, I have 33 triggers for AFib, and that's a way of looking at how magnesium gets thrown out of balance. So when this gentleman told me he'd 16 months ago he had a consult with me before I stopped doing consults, and he had AFib. He's been taking Remag, Remite, and salt daily. Happily, his heart health has been getting better and better, much fewer episodes. And then he said at 3 teaspoons of Remag, 1.5 Remite, over 3 teaspoons he would get the laxative effect. And he did report back that he was sipping it through the day. And what he then said was that he'd had a strep throat, had antibiotics, had food poisoning, so that sort of fed into his symptoms. So you always have to look at what else is going on. Some people don't even realize that antibiotics can cause diarrhea, that food poisoning, of course, causes diarrhea, but then it can stick with you. And actually, during that time as well, he repeated his magnesium RBC levels, and they were lower than he thought they should be. And of course, his body had used up the magnesium. And why the laxative effect can be extended then and make you think it's about the Remag is that the antibiotics will cause yeast overgrowth. This gentleman travels a lot all over the world, so he was even wondering about parasites. And I do use a little bit. I've been, as Ginny says, experimenting again. I use diatomaceous earth, diatomaceous MACEOUS, earth. It's the crushed up shells of little sea animals, seashells. Diatomaceous earth, and that is very natural parasite treatment. And if you research it, look into it, get food grade diatomaceous earth. And so yeast, parasites can affect the bowels and make you think it's the Remag. And then what I've been doing for the last couple of people here is, and I may have said it on a previous show, is to take a couple tablespoons of psyllium seed powder during the day to bulk the intestinal stool and to slow things down a bit. And you can also take your Remag with food. You know, I know we're telling you to sip through the day, but maybe go back to taking a half teaspoon at a time and take it right with your food to slow down absorption. This is what I said to another person who said that she's getting some laxative effect. Another person here, I don't know if this is a laxative. Yeah, maybe it's not a laxative question. So, yeah, this looks like a person who's got the total body meltdown. And, you know, this is what we expect for people to email us when they have problems. Fortunately, a lot of people will email us and say, well, you know, it's been 3, 6, 9, 12 months, and I'm perfectly healthy. Okay, so this person, she wrote to Ginny and said she ordered Remag, Remite, Realign. How do you suggest I start, given I seem to be a little magnesium sensitive? I also prefer to use Remag topically versus orally, unless there's some big issue there. So, yes, I was highlighting this because Ginny just wrote the most perfect answer to this person. And these are the symptoms this person has: anxiety, panicky feelings, tingling muscle, tics, general odd sensation front and back of arms and legs, contributing to insomnia, tightness in calves and thighs, muscle aches. I mean, all these are magnesium deficiency. And then an uneasy, queasy feeling in the stomach, very nauseous. And then that, to me, is kind of the yeast overgrowth picture. Fatigue, which is improving, that's magnesium deficiency. Weakness and sickly feeling after exercise. Now, this sounds more and more like chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia syndrome, which is magnesium deficiency and yeast overgrowth. And the person gives a long history of how she developed all these symptoms. So basically it's, we don't mind people giving us their full history. It kind of confirms why they have so many symptoms, but really the treatment is going to be pretty much the same for everybody. You know, people will write and say, I have MS. I think there's a letter in the mailbag today. I have MS. What should I do? And just do the protocol and maybe do it, really do follow the slow introduction. Our friend Joan up in Canada did another acronym on taking out the trash, TRASH. She said the T is for targeting the problem, R is for repair and resolve, A is for the accumulation of debris, S is for shipping it out through the lymphatic system, and H is for healing. She's feeling so much better that she can take time to make us some acronyms. So that's for the Realign, taking out the trash. Now, Ginny, I want to read out this email that you sent to our minister friend up in Canada. I think it was brilliant. This minister is, having great results on the REMAG and REMITE, but he said he couldn't get his head around the RNA drops and how we talk about ascension and all that sort of stuff. And Ginny says, hi there. The journey to ascension is not new. It's talked about in the Bible and in modern Catholicism and Protestantism. Unfortunately, it's limited to Easter and the season of resurrection. But isn't resurrection a daily experience? Isn't that what the Apostle Paul spoke of in Galatians 2:22? Is that an out-of-body experience? I hope for all our sakes it's not. What do you mean by that? Is that an out-of-body experience? I hope for all our sakes it's not. Galatians 2:20, Ginny?
He said in the email that he sent, he said, what does ascension mean? Is it like an out-of-body experience, like a OBE, or... Yeah, that's what he was talking about. Like it's some kind of a psychic phenomena or whatever. And, Christians are all nervous about that kind of stuff. So that's what he was asking.
Right. So you're bringing him back to the Bible, of course.
And Ginny, it's interesting that a pastor, minister in Christianity doesn't know much about the concept of ascension, which is what Ian has pointed out. It's the most plain down part of the journey of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
You have your proof right there.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Ginny continues. I'm not offended by the RNA drops, which have a physical application through the sugars, amino acids, and probiotics that are in the formula, and also by the frequency or energy behind the RNA drops, which can relax the mind and balance the body's energies. The way that happens is similar to homeopathy. The energy of the generations carries forward, and the harmonic of energy or frequency behind the RNA drops builds. In my pastoral view, the New Age refers to the Old Age healing modalities as energy or frequency. The Bible refers to them as the laying on of hands, the praying in tongues, the gifts of the Spirit, etc. In my world, working in urban ministry for many years, I was deeply associated with the charismatic churches as well as a Protestant, evangelical, and Catholic faiths, and found no offense in any of their practices. Can I explain how all the things that happened? No. So I can't explain everything about how the RNA drops do their healing either, except we just have so many amazing testimonials of what they do that we know there is a power, positive source of energy in the harmonic of the drops. The emphasis of ascension in the RNA drops is the focus on the resurrection, perfecting the power that is within us all, whether it's through the physical application of the RNA drops or it's the harmonic behind them. Empowering folks to be better is a good day for us all. The Bible says that any deadly thing shall not come upon you, and you can pray over any substance before you use it, and it can be used by the body for good. Just pray over them and bless them to your body and get the benefit out of the obvious physical aspect of the body and check out the harmonic for yourself. And if you don't want to do that, throw them out. No biggie. So I thought that was the greatest letter. That's going to go in your RNA drops booklet, Ginny.
Very good. Excellent. All right, excellent. Wonderful. All right.
Hey, Ginny, when you were a pastor, did you know about the concept of ascension? Had you heard of that?
Well, yes, but again, Bob, it was all, talked about for just, kind of something that Jesus did. Although...
Not you.
Not you, even though I do think the early Christians definitely tried to model, imitate Christ a lot more than the modern Christians do, or we wouldn't, be in the situation we're in. But anyway, so I do feel that, it was suggested to the early Christians for sure that they should be able to do the same thing, and that's what Jesus said.
Yeah.
You'll do the greater works.
Yeah. Okay, any calls or anything to go too, or will
yes.
keep on the mailbag?
No, we have calls and a couple questions that have come in. So let's get to our phone calls. Calling from Hawaii, Carolyn, from the great state of Hawaii, area code 808. You're on the line with Dr. Carolyn Dean. If you could give us your name and then state your question or comment.
Aloha, this is Ku'ule, and aloha to Dr. Dean. Excuse me, Jenny and Bob.
Aloha. Go ahead, Ku'ule.
Okay. Tonight's topic is on stroke, and I have a problem with this since 2000. I have had numerous strokes and TIAs. Neurologists don't know why. I easily get overheated, and I sweat profusely when I'm in humid weather or even inside rooms with little circulation. Almost always I need a fan. Now, my MRIs don't show any damage on my brain, but when I first go into the ER, the CAT scans will pick up stuff that one doctor said looks like blood, and then it cleans itself up. However, I do end up with all the symptoms of a stroke. I have the cognitive difficulties, drop foot, swallowing, speaking, just like I had a stroke. But so I would love to not fear hot, humid weather or even being inside a room without a fan to try and figure out, what the cause is. And I will say I did start on the formulas a few months ago, and I definitely need magnesium. I am a complex case with a whole bunch of other stuff, but this is my one thing that, I have to be so careful about. So I'd like. What do you think might be going on?
Have you noticed any difference on the formulas yet?
No, as a matter of fact, I had another TIA, but I had one in April. But I had just started on the formulas, and so so I haven't seen a change as far as that. But I've been careful, and I'm going through all the different therapies again, OT, PT, and so forth.
Do you sweat?
Oh, yeah. I start sweating very easily. I overheat and just wiping sweat off like crazy off of me.
Yeah. It's been a little humid here, unusually, at least in Maui this year. Magnesium. Yeah.
I was going to say, actually, I moved outside of Hawaii to be closer to better medical because I had lived in Volcano. So, and I love winter. Winter is fabulous over here. Love the snow because I feel good.
So you're on the mainland, right?
Yeah. So for now, I'm on the mainland, and so I'll be going back to Hawaii. But even still, here, my first summer, it shot up to 90 degrees, and I ended up in a stroke.
Here's what I know about magnesium and temperature. That magnesium does temperature. So basically, get your magnesium built up, and helps because temperature regulation is also thyroid. So you have to be aware of what your TSH, T3, T4 are. If you're on high doses, that's probably a good idea. If you do you're on, right, so you have to be careful not taking too much thyroid because that can increase temperature. As you remag and remake, your person that called us, you much if your arm could speed up your metabolism and your temperature. So major things if you're not holding in your temperature, then you have titrating yourself with magnesium or your thyroid is not elevated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I only test normal and make sure my doctor checked the regular TSH.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Just say keep on the completement formulas, and in terms of you could little biology and the reasons why, or he did. You know, the total biology German medicine people might say that your ancestors, you know, too much cold environment and that this need for heat in your body. You know, there can be some kind of interesting that happening to look at the total biology.
Yeah. Okay. I am Hawaiian, and of course, ancestors were in Hawaii.
Yeah. Okay.
So they should be used to heat, but and this didn't start until 2000. I am 59 now. So
okay. So what was happening in 2000? Was there any major event in 2000?
Yes, I was going through a lot of medical changes, and I was being put on different medications. I will look at that more closely.
Yeah, there's a reason. You know, there's always a reason, and with total biology, it's just the conflict basis of disease. What conflict has happened where the body thinks it has to create an illness or a symptom in order to solve the conflict?
I do remember now I had to move to Honolulu for that year because my kidneys and liver were basically being assaulted by all the different medications I was being given. So so that was going on at that time. And then a year later, I got myself on milk thistle supplement and milk thistle tea. Excuse me, not a year later, many years later, like 2010. And then finally got my my liver and my kidneys happy.
Right. So, and your blood clotting factors, are they okay?
Oh yeah, my heart is great. My carotid arteries are great. All those things aren't a factor.
Right. Yeah. So there's got, you know, your body's reacting, you know, either metaphysically or physically to something where.
Right.
Yeah, there's something. I mean, nothing's jumping to mind, but look at a book called Biogenealogy by Patrick Obissier, Obissier, Biogenealogy. The subtitle is Decoding the Psychic Roots of Illness, Freedom from the Ancestral Origins of Disease. So that it just might trigger some aspect of what's going on, because you know, as you say, you're having such atypical TIAs. Nobody can figure it out, so it must be, you know, it's something else. There's some, you know, something your body's trying to tell you, in a sense.
Yes. Okay, great, fabulous. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you for calling in, and let us know how you progress, okay?
Will do, and I'll meditate on this right away. I'll talk to my body, see what's going on.
Very good, yeah. Excellent. Okay, take care. Bye-bye now.
Excellent. All right, Carolyn, let's do a couple of these quick messages that have come in. One of them is from Joe, who typed in and said, could Carolyn please clarify the T4 versus TSH? My TSH is 5 and T4 is 0.8. 0.8. And the doctor wants me on levothyroxine, but I went with a max dose of Remite instead. What should I look for on my next blood test?
Okay, give me the numbers again, Ginny.
Sure. The TSH was 5, and the T4 is 0.8.
Okay. The T5 means that the pituitary is pumping out TSH, thyroid-stimulating hormone, to stimulate the thyroid to produce more hormones. The pituitary is picking up that the thyroid hormones are too low, and so the TSH will elevate above what should be kind of a normal under 2. So the doctor's just going to replace your hormones because they're saying you're not making enough. To me, that's it's a better number to look at than the T4. The T4 can, as I said earlier, it can alter pretty quickly. It can change. So a T4 of 0.8, that doesn't mean a lot to me unless I know the range. So he could put in the range, but personally, I would. Here we go. I'm finding a range here. They're saying in one lab 0.8, which is what our friend is, to 1.8. So yeah, it looks on the low side, but still, I personally would just, as he said he was going to do, the Remag and the Remite, and what you would look for is your TSH coming down. The next TSH after about a month on Remag and Remite might be 3.5, and then another month or two it will probably be down to 2.5. So let us know, Joe, what goes on. That's excellent.
Excellent. Nadine typed in, Carolyn, I've had chronic pain for 40 years due to back injury, surgery, fibromyalgia, just discovered mag oil and start taking Remag. Wonderful results. I take B complex, vitamin C, D, CoQ10, milk thistle daily. My question, what can be done to reduce uric acid? Mine is 6.8.
Uric acid, breakdown of protein. You're not digesting your protein, perhaps. So we'd be looking at the protein in your world. But uric acid, of course, is also the whole gout thing and the purines. That's not a quick question. Magnesium can help somewhat, but it's more reducing proteins. And you might find that doing all the complement formulas will help reduce it without doing too much more. You also look at my blog, Dr. Dean's supplement recommendations, because you probably don't need to take all the supplements that you're taking. I don't know if they can cause problems, but they're certainly an added expense. Especially look at the vitamin D and make sure you're not taking too much D for the for its problems with taking out your magnesium. And that's awesome about the chronic pain and discovered magnesium. I mean, so many people tell us that, and it's fabulous that you finally discovered it. But do the complement formulas, see if you can reduce your other supplements and see what happens to your uric acid.
Very good. Nancy in Portland said that she had a little reception problem, not being able to hear the lady from Hawaii. And Nancy, I just want to let you know, if you go back and listen to the archive, a lot of times that reception is not in the actual recording. It's just people's individual phones and computers kind of clicking out, because I did not hear anything during that last call. So it might have just been your internet provider, so maybe go back and listen to the archive and you'll be able to hear it more clearly. Okay, and then let's see. Kim asked some more questions about vitamin D. I'm still trying to understand vitamin D and how does the liver convert it into an active D. So, Kim, I'm going to ask you to email me at support, SUPPORT, at RNAreset.com, and I will send you Carolyn's FAQ about vitamin D and some other resources that you can look at so that you can get those questions answered, because we only have another minute or so till the show wraps up. Okay, Carolyn, what else do you have for us this evening?
Oh, my gosh, just so let me count the ways that I could enlighten you on stuff. I'm trying to find some short little quippy here, but maybe I'll just go over to you and Bob and ask if you have any final comments. Bob?
No, good show. I learned a lot. Nobody believes me, but I did.
No, that's right. But that was good. That was a nice, what do they call that, fake punt return or whatever. That was good. That was good. Very good.
Here's one to end on. Dear Dr. D, my family and I are happier than you will ever know for the gift of Remag. We were in awful shape before we started taking Remag, and we just started taking Realign capsules. So, I mean, this is awesome that people are taking responsibility for their own health. They are stepping up to the plate, and they are they're showing such improvement that I'm verklempt. Totally verklempt.
Very good, very good. Thanks, everybody. Great show. Thank you, Bill, our wonderful producer. Thanks, everybody, for being with us. We'll be back next week. Hope you are, too.
Thank you, Ginny.
Thanks, Ginny. Thanks, Bill. Thanks, listeners and callers.
You've been listening to Live with Dr. Carolyn Dean here on AchieveRadio.com. Till next time, so long, and thanks for all the fish.
AchieveRadio.com.
So if the merging of your chip body is taking place with your meat